Um, this video too. While I figure out what the structure of this YouTube channel is gonna be, I figured I might as well for now, just keep sharing my thoughts. And I thought, what better way than to share part of my testimony that really changed. I'd like to think it changed my perspective on life and God and love and all that. Actually, I would call it the starting point. I would call it the starting point of curiosity. When I was a kid, I I was living in North Bergen on Bergen Line Ave, and I was going to this church. I was maybe like 10 to 12, and I was part of this choir, and I was going, and I wasn't sure what my relationship was with God at that point, but I know I was curious for something. Like something more than this life, something more than this life. And one day, as I'm going down this Bergen Line Ave to go to this church, I see a homeless man, and I had my little guitar, because I used to be one of the instrumentalists of the choir. And on my way there, I see this homeless man, and something in me, it wasn't pride or ego or just, it was just I just felt like doing it. And I saw this homeless man, and he was sitting down on the floor, and I wanted to say something to him. So I went up and I kneeled down and said, "Hey, listen, Jesus loves you." Not understanding what that meant, but I just know it's something you say. And he, his response was, "God is a syndicate. Fuck you." Like he was just like yelling. He got up, I stood up, and I was scared. I was a scared fucking kid. It was this old man, and I just walked away. And I remember being mad. I was mad at God. I said, "You know what? I'm never doing that again." I would even call it a vow that I made. I would never do that again. And that was that. And when I got to high school, I drifted away from God. I was just in my own life, my own affairs. And when I was started going to church again because of some friends that had invited me throughout high school. This is after high school, by the way, when I started going to church. I had forgotten that experience. Completely gone. Wiped out my head. Life happens. It had been like 7+ years since that happened. And like I said, I didn't remember that experience again. Even in high school, like it was just gone, forgotten. And then, as I mentioned in my previous video, when I was curious to find this, when I was curious about God and I wanted to understand Him, or at the very least understand His way, I was met with a very similar situation again. And this is like 8 years later. I'm currently 22, but it was about when I was 20, no, 19, when I started searching for God. I was fresh into, searching Him, and I used to bus and waiter at this Irish pub. And 2 a.m., it was a night where the trash had to go out, and I'm taking the bins, and the street is closed, right? It's a street where people can walk on, so I had to go to the end of that street to the curb so I can drop off the bins. And as I'm walking there, I see this fragile old man, and he had a sign saying, it was like, "Any money or food, I'll be grateful. I'll take anything." Something along the lines to that. And my initial thought was, "Oh, I don't have any money to give him, so whatever." I just walked past him, got to dropped off the bins, which was maybe a couple feet away, then went back to the pub to finish my shift. And as I'm walking halfway, I am it's like a thought was put into my head. I didn't come up with this thought, and it's a weird explanation. It just popped into my head, and it was two words: what if? What if? And the memory of that initial homeless man from when I was 12 years old, that experience, came back to me, a memory that was forgotten, a memory that I had no idea existed at all, came back, and it was very odd to me. And this was around the time where I was trying to understand Jesus and what it meant to follow him, because I didn't understand what it means to surrender. I've learned that it's a process, but at that time I had no idea what that looked like, to surrender my ways, surrender my habits, surrender my thought. Like, what does that mean? What does that even look like, to surrender yourself in that way? So that thought came into my head, and I stopped in my tracks halfway to the restaurant, and I looked at the sky, and I kept playing in my head, what if, what if, what if? And I thought, if I go talk to this homeless man about Jesus or pray to him, I was it wasn't like 80%, 90%, 99%. It was 1,000% sure. I was 1,000% sure he was gonna say something along the lines of, "Oh, fuck you," or "No, I want money." Like, what good is a prayer? What good is it? Right? It's not anything tangible or substantial to, or substantially benefiting to this person. And well, that's what I thought. And I looked at the sky, like almost laughing, sarcastically, and I said, "God, I'm gonna try one more time. I've made it up in my mind that it's not gonna work the way you want it to, or idealistically want it to." I was prepared to just hear all kinds of things from this man. But I looked at the sky and I said, "You know what? One more time. I'm gonna try one more time." And maybe looking back, there was faith in it, in that. I guess you could say the actions showcased faith. But in my heart, in my thoughts, there was no faith in this turning out to something positive. So I walked back to the homeless man. I found him. And I said, "Hey, listen, man. I don't have anything to give you. I don't have any money or food. I'm sorry. But can I pray for you?" And that man just started crying. And he said, "Nobody has done that for me in years. Please pray for me." And I prayed. That spoke encouragement. I try to speak. I learned that there's life and death at the tip of your tongue. You can speak it, and it can be a weapon, or it can be a fountain of life. And I chose to speak life. I wanted to speak life. There's already enough death going around in this fucking world. I wanted to speak life, at least to somebody, in a way that I didn't comprehend. So from the little bit I knew or understood from God, I prayed for him, that he may be protected, that the Lord may watch his steps, that there's no age limit to the Lord's help. There's no situation that's impossible for the Lord to step into. And I prayed, and I said, "Listen, man, I'm sorry, I can't give you any more. This is all I have to offer right now." And he said, "Man, what you've given me has fed me for a lifetime." And that was that. I'm walking back to the restaurant in complete disbelief. Like, these pillars of that I carried, that shaped my perspective, whether it was because of this earlier experience with the other homeless man or whatever else in my life, it felt in that moment shaken. I was proven wrong. And in that moment, I was lost. I couldn't believe it. And first thing I did, I got to the restaurant, I went to the bathroom, and I felt this heaviness behind my eyes, this knot in my throat of just, wow. And for the first time, I felt like God had blessed me with the opportunity to get a glimpse of what the kingdom of heaven has in store for us. As if he allowed me to pierce through a keyhole to see a bit of heaven on the other side. And in that moment, it fueled something in me that I was missing for a long, long time. And all I could say in my heart was, I don't know what that was, but I want more of it. I want more of that. I need more of that. And I remember telling God, I said, God, I don't know what comes next in my life. I don't know what you have in store for me. I don't know what life has in store for me. I don't know where I will be tomorrow, in a day, in a month, in a year. All I know is that whatever comes next in my life, I need you to be a part of it. And from then on, I was hungry. I was hungry for something that this world couldn't give me. And even then, I tried to satisfy my hunger with mundane things. And it's been a process, but I think that, I've come to learn that fulfillment is truly only found in God. And fulfillment doesn't mean perfection or perfect happiness or infinite joy, solutions. Like, no, life will bring problems, life will bring chaos, life will bring destruction, life will beat you down, but God will not forsake you. And that's what I've learned. And He will mentor you and He will guide you in very unconventional ways that you only get to understand after the fact or very later on. And that moment stood out to me because I felt like there's actually somebody out there, outside of this world, watching over me, who knew the depths of my heart. And I said, all right, God, I'm all in. In that bathroom, you know, I said, I'm all in.